Whoa!
Oh boy.
Whoa! Beans. Oh, heck. Here we are. Some news broke.
Yeah, there's something to talk about this week. It's not just speculation. It's only mostly
Yeah.
speculation
What
at this
was
point.
it? What was that thing? I swear something big happened.
Yeah, I think did Apple do something?
No. Oh,
Mm,
I'll tell you what it was.
What was it?
I got this old camera.
Oh, very
Yeah, that's what
nice.
it must have been.
That's what it was. That was the big announcement this week.
In fact, here, let me take a picture of you for my records. Smile. Wow, that's great. Let me
Wow,
I'll show
what an amazing picture.
I agree.
I like that
Look at
it looks
that.
like it's printing out the picture.
And no, it basically does. If you cycle through them,
Oh, that's
it
so that's so funny.
it's so good. Dude,
I
I'm
love
bringing this
that.
thing to Italy. When
Oh
we go to
yeah,
Italy, oh, heck yeah. So,
very cool.
I'm all ready to go, by the way, with this thing. I've got two of these smart media cards because this thing records to a massive thing.
Yeah, it
I mean,
does.
look at the size of this boy.
Oh yeah.
We got a SD card versus a smart media card. It's pretty crazy. Uh, these things are really finicky. I'm actually very happy that my camera came with it. I'm working on a video, as you would imagine, about Apple's cameras. So this is a spoiler for you guys because you're gonna see a video on this. I don't know, maybe this month if I could probably do it this month. Yeah, you'll see it this month. But this was actually the last Apple digital camera that they made. I kind of love it. I love the Apple logo. I love the font. I love that it says Apple on the display. Everything
Oh
about this
yeah.
camera, I love. But it records to these smart media cards, and specifically a 5 volt one, which means that it's either 2 or 4 megabyte. So this card is 2 megabytes. Now, uh, I bought another one, and finding these, you can get larger ones like 128 megabytes, easy, $15, right? No problem at all. Weirdly, the smaller they are, the more expensive they are because they don't make these anymore. So you have to buy an original one from the 90s. So this card costs about $100.
And you can't use a higher capacity one.
No,
Jeez. It's
yeah,
rough.
yeah, no, it's pretty rough. So I did because I didn't know if my camera was going to come with one, so I bought another one of these. So I have two of them now, which is a $200 value for that 4 megabytes. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Now each of these is good for 22 photos. So the fact that I've got two now means that I can take a whopping 44 pictures.
Incredible.
And that's by the way, that's in fine condition. So I can do regular it'll do 30 regular quality or 22 fine. And you know I want
Oh.
fine.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Only the best.
Only the best, absolutely. So, yeah, so that's my kit. It came with absolutely everything. Like check this out.
Oh, nice.
Oh
So
yeah.
cool.
And it's got, I mean, look at this. We got absolutely everything. Got the software. We got a
Nice.
really big old beautiful user manual.
Mm-hmm.
It came with the warranty card, which is so 90s. I mean, look at that.
I love the clip art on there.
Amazing. Amazing quality there. And then it came, I don't know what, oh, I guess this is, yeah, yeah. Look at this, buddy. Look at this. they printed out an update because there was stuff that's not accurate in the manual, so there's an update.
That's cool.
There's the original shipping invoice, which is insane,
Nice.
and there's a registration card / spam,
That's
which
so
is
unlike Apple these days.
yeah. You can choose one of these free gifts. Do you want Mac Home Journal Magazine, Mac User Magazine, or do you want Macworld Magazine and the Ultimate Power Mac CD?
Oh, it's a hard choice.
Yeah, that's a very hard choice. Now I saw someone asked if there's a floppy disk. So that's a good question actually, because these smart media cards are actually, in a sense, miniaturized floppy disks, which is weird. So they run on 5-volt power, which is why they're hard to find. The newer ones are more like a normal SD card, I guess. So yeah, these are those that it's not great, not fast, but it gets the job done. And that's all I wanted. Oh, mine even came with, look at this. This is so goofy.
What is that?
It's a clip-on
view
viewfinder.
A viewfinder?
Yeah, it clips on.
Oh my god.
It's stupid.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I love this camera. It's so cool. It's so retro. The pictures are terrible. I think it's 640 by 480 pixels.
It's a classic. Are they like terrible in like a nostalgic, like cool way, or do they just look terrible?
I think nostalgic and cool. It makes everything look like a still frame from an old home video. That's how I would describe it.
I think that's pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is. And this thing actually has a lot of so the Quick Take 200, this is the last digital camera that Apple made. There were earlier ones. So that's why this one came out in 1997. It has a CD that comes with it. That's where the software is. And the software works. I was able to use it on my PowerBook G3. So I have to work on getting photos off of the G3, but that's should be easy. I just need to order some CDs and I'll just burn them on a CD. But it does have a decent amount of features for a camera from 1997. Because remember, this is a very, 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 very early days of digital cameras. So the Quick Take 100 and 150 that came before this were technically actually the first commercially available digital cameras. So starting in, I think, 1994. But this one, by the time this came around, this is pretty advanced stuff, okay? First of all, we have that 1-inch screen on the back. That's huge.
Oh, yeah.
We've got adjustment dials on the top. So it's got a bunch of modes. There's the PC mode, so you can transfer stuff. It's got a self-timer. It's got the different picture qualities. It has a viewer where you can scroll through what's on the card. And it has an automatic slideshow mode. So you can plug this thing in with a component video out to a TV and have it like slideshow, which is awesome. So you could hook it up to like a VCR.
Very cool.
What else is up here? Oh, then you can write protect certain pictures, and then like you can delete stuff, obviously. It has an adjustable aperture over here. 2 modes, big or little. So basically indoors or outdoors.
Okay.
It has a macro mode, which is actually pretty good. Like it gets good depth of field, which you would not expect.
Very cool.
And I actually remember one of my like very first cameras having those 3 icons on it. The flower for macro, the little silhouette for people, and the mountain for distance. I had Like this camera basically started that. I had, even in the late 2000s, there were still cameras using that.
Wow, it's pretty crazy. Very cool.
So yeah, that I kind of just gave away a lot of the video by telling you all of this stuff. But you
But
know
you'll
what?
still have to watch the video.
You will. You have to legally. Oh, I love it. It's so good. It's so cute. I might buy another one.
Oh, jeez.
Just kidding. But there was one up for auction. Did it sell? Oh, I might have missed it. There was one up for auction. I was gonna try to snag if it was cheap, but
Another quick take 200.
oh, I should have bought that. It sold for $46. It doesn't have, mine's much more complete, but oh, I would have bid $46 on this. Oh, I guess it's not tested, so they don't know. Dude, that's a cop out. Maybe I shouldn't have bought this. Untested nonsense. Nonsense.
I mean, the last time you bought untested Max, it turned out pretty well, so.
Yeah, there's no excuse for it. I fully believe. I no longer feel bad, by the way, because I definitely shouldn't have felt bad about not buying that because it said untested. There's no excuse for it to be not tested. The thing runs on AA batteries. It's super easy. Like, people were asking, is the battery still good? 4 AA's, baby. Super easy.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's
I mean,
nice.
I'm surprised there's not more of a collector's market around these. This is so cool.
Maybe you'll start that trend.
Hopefully. I mean, it was only, I think I paid $180, which is a bit steep, but it came with everything and it's in mint shape. So I'm not too mad.
That is pretty good.
It's going to be a good video. I hope the people watch it. The retro stuff is, everyone that has watched it has loved it, but not as wide of an audience watches it. So some of it is at lower views, but the people that are watching it are absolutely here for it.
Yeah, hopefully the algorithm doesn't kill it out of spite.
I think the algorithm's mad at me. But, you know, we can appease it by talking about WWDC.
Let's do that. The algorithm loves that.
It does. Should we begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to Dark Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from 2 technology experts. And that's not just what we call ourselves. It's what our moms tell people when the worldwide developers confer. I'm your host, Luke Miani.
And I'm your host, Noah Rubin. On this show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way.
And today is a momentous day because we just, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? It was a weird day, but we just got our WWDC invites.
That's right. I think it was on Wednesday, I want to say. And
That sounds
and
right.
they finally, I know we were expecting it. We were expecting it around now, but maybe more like on a Monday. But they switched up on a Wednesday. It's all good. We still got it.
That's all I needed. I just want that confirmed. That confirmed WWDC. We know, I mean, it's not exactly a surprise, right? June 5th it pretty much fits in it with what we've come to expect.
I think that's exactly what we predicted. June 5th. Nice to see it pan out.
And I think, as to Ethan's point here, time to break out the CCRP. Today is going to be full of CCRP. And CCRP actually told us that WWDC was going to be June 5th. And it was right. Because if you follow the Bible of CCRP, you will go far. You can apply it to many things in life.
That's true, but Luke, what is CCRP? I'm a new viewer who's just tuning in this week, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, luckily for you, I have this handy dandy little graphic that I can put up on
Oh,
the screen here so that everyone
perfect.
who is new or returning and maybe is an amnesiac, you have a 1 week long memory cycle, so you come back here, you're like, what the heck, what's CCRP? Well, now you don't have to worry about it because we'll go over it again. This is going to be on the test. Credibility, corroboration, repetition, proximity. That's the big four.
The big four right there. Got to remember that.
Absolutely. CCRP, I mean, I think honestly, this is probably my best invention.
I think so. I mean, it started as a one-off bit, but it's really stuck around. It has some staying power.
I agree. And it does look at this. People are excited. People love it.
We love
Someone
it.
though didn't know what CCRP is. Hopefully this is going to become something that will just become part of the internet vocabulary, This is going to be like lol or Google or oh, let me Yelp that.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone says that all the time. They're going to Yelp something. It's like,
Yeah,
someone's going to go on Twitter and they're going to say, oh, Apple is going to release a brand new robot, a humanoid robot this week. And you're
exactly.
not going to say like, oh, this is silly. This is not going to happen. There's just going to be CCRP. That's all you got to write, and everyone knows what it means. It means it's not happening.
Exactly. CCRP. It comes in handy. You can cut through the nonsense. If somebody says the Apple robot is coming next week, you can hit them with that CCRP ban hammer and be like, absolutely not. You're nonsense. You see a tweet, a fake leak from everything Apple. What's the leaks Apple Pro?
Yeah.
Boom, CCRP. You're done. You're done, buddy. CCRP is the new law enforcement of the leaks community. All right. Give me a sheriff's badge. In fact, I wonder if I can go and make a sheriff's badge that says CCRP on it. This is a good thing to know.
That would be pretty good to
Where
have.
would I go? Buy your own sheriff badge. How,
Oh,
how does one do this?
you want a physical sheriff's badge that you can wear.
Custom sheriff badge, Etsy.com.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I like to see.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-mm-mm. Can I get these printed with my own text? No. Well, that's useless.
There's got to be somewhere that you can do it. Or just make a little arts and crafts project.
An engraved pewter sheriff's badge. Oh, with multiple color options available. We could do a gold finish. I think you have to.
It's a sheriff's badge. It has to be gold.
So we've got top text and bottom text.
How long
Oh,
can the
and
text be?
okay. 25 characters top and bottom each.
Can you fit like the first two words in the top, last two words in the bottom? Or is it too long?
Character counter online.
This
Okay,
is very important for us to
wordcounter.net.
do live, by the way. We need to get this sorted before we can continue with the show.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. This is of utmost importance. So the question is here: can we fit all four on one line? Because it would be nice if like maybe it could say CCRP police on top, and then spell it out on the
Mm.
bottom if it fits.
It would be great if there could be like CCRP, big text in the middle, and then credibility corroboration on top, repetition proximity on the bottom. I feel like that would be
Hmm.
a cool design.
I would need to find a different design for that then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Repetition. Oh god, this is way too many characters.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so it's 49 characters. Now we could do two on the top, two on the bottom.
and that would just fit, right?
Yes. It
Just
would fit
barely.
with one. Well, it would shorten some of the characters because there wouldn't be spaces or commas. You'd lose at least one space or comma, so it would definitely fit.
Hmm. That's
And
true.
then, but then there's still 5 letters on the bottom. Oh, that could say CCRP.
That's true.
Hmm. Hmm. Maybe I should. You know what? Maybe I'm not gonna order this. Maybe I'm gonna make it and sell it as merch, and you'll be able to get your own CCRP badge.
That'll be great.
Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Add that to your merch. CCRP merchandise. I don't know. A lot of people are in favor of this. Maybe I'll do it. I got to build more hype though cuz I feel like this is an inside joke on here. I put it in my video on WWDC. That was the first time CCRP has made it to the mainstream, you know?
Oh wow. That's very exciting. We just have to be careful though. We don't want this to turn into like a Kleenex or a Xerox, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I mean it rolls off the tongue in a similar way of like, "Oh, do you need a Kleenex?" People are going to be like, "Oh, do you need to CCRP that?" You know?
Exactly. We got to be careful, you know. You don't want to lose the trademark, especially for some of the merch.
Oh, this is good. CCRPD for the police department.
That is good.
Oh, the lore is expanding.
That is pretty
Whoa,
good.
I like this. Would you like to be my deputy?
Yes, I think that would be very good.
Okay, wait. I need to figure out. I need to change my name here. Edit name. I want to be. I want to be. I want to be a constable.
Okay.
Wait, is it constable? Oh no, those are like low down. It's a great name, but I feel like I need more cachet, you know? As the
Yeah.
founder, I think I need to be like maybe I should even be should I be in law enforcement or should I be more of a judicial figure?
Hmm. Like, well, I think here's the thing though, right? CCRP is all about giving power to the people, you know,
Right.
letting them use their tools to make the
Hmm.
determination. So I don't know. I don't know. How does that fit in here? I feel like maybe we could be gurus. We could be, you know, advisors. It could be even a religion. You got to be careful with that
Hmm.
one, but it could be.
That's I mean, yeah, we could start a cult here if we're not careful.
Right. Exactly.
So we have to manage our responsibility in a safe way. So I think this name is appropriate.
Hmm. It's very humble of you.
Yes. I mean, we have to be careful, but that doesn't mean we have to be inaccurate.
Of course, Lord Luke Miani.
And then
Fantastic.
that, of course, makes you Jesus.
Oh, geez. Do I have to die?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I have to
If you
die
want
for
CCRP to be a
CCRP.
viable religion, then yes.
Oh, geez. All right. I guess I'll have to take that bullet, literally.
Okay, maybe you can be the constable and I could be chief inspector. All right. That's a bit of a long title, but I think it's good.
That's great. I like that you get a last name and I don't get a last name.
Oh, here, you can get your last name. I'll give you your last name, constable.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, no problem. No problem, Mr. Rubin. Officer Chief Prophet Rubin.
That's me.
So now that we've been anointed with our newfound capabilities, I think what we should do is go through some of the WWDC articles and see if they're following the rules of WWDC lore, and if they're abiding by CCRP guidance.
It's an excellent idea. We need to keep the internet pure.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
We
I
need to
think we should
cleanse
dive
the
in
internet.
here. We've just got well, I suppose we'll go on Mac rumors, but I want to find their like where was their like main thing about WWDC? I guess it's just in the top stories here. I'm not exactly sure what is happening here. My Google Chrome seems to be a wee bit broken.
Oh,
Okay, well,
what's I see what you're looking at.
oh, there it goes. Oh, it's a little laggy.
It's a little laggy.
Don't worry about that. All right.
Okay.
Setting aside Google Chrome, which is terrible, of course. Let's go through here. What do we have? Apple this week announced WWDC will be held from Monday, June 5th through Friday, June 9th. Okay, that's what we expected. Now, of course, we have this teaser image. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to this, I think, because this teaser image is very curious. I think you'd all agree.
Definitely. I've heard some very interesting takes about it. Absolutely.
Oh, hey, this is all. Hang on a second. Oh, okay. We'll come back to WWDC because in the rumor roundup from yesterday, I forgot about this, and I think we need to talk about it because CCRP has got a thing or two to say about the headset. CCRP is panicking, quite frankly.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So let's hash it out, Noah, shall we? What we're looking at here is apparently, according to this article, Apple has supposedly demoed the mixed reality headset to executives in the theater just 1 week ago. Now, we're 2 months out from WWDC, but theoretically, it has just been demoed to the top 100 executives. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's very early in development because there will undoubtedly be people at the tippy top that will have known about this all along. But demoing it to 100 executives would be a pretty big event.
That would definitely be a big event, and it would definitely be when you hit 100 executives, you're hitting people that are, removed, maybe even far
Right.
removed from this
Yeah.
this headset. So this is not just like a prototype or like a little demo of like some potential technology. Like if this is actually true, and we'll see if it's true. If this is actually true, seems like they're probably pretty far along in this process.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, top 100 executives, that would be a pretty broad group of people. So that would probably include people that are doing Apple TV executives, fitness, Apple Watch, things that aren't necessarily related directly to the development and creation of this. So they're, as with everything Apple does, they have everything siloed so that people aren't really crossing over all that much, right? Uh, it it's the type of thing that Apple loves to do, where they're like, okay, hardware people can know what's going on, but software people, they don't know. They don't know what they're making, and sometimes the hardware people, are designing like a stand for a device, but they don't know what the device is. Like everyone is kind of clueless and doing things in their own little corners because Apple doesn't want anything to leak. And you could argue that they're fairly ineffective considering that a lot of stuff does leak. So is it worth it? Probably not. But hey, 100 executives have now seen this thing, according to Mark Gurman. Now, CCRP credibility, quite strong. Let me get the banner back up on screen here. Credibility, that's good. Corroboration, we've heard a lot of reports from different people. Repetition and proximity. This is coming out more and more frequently. So the CCRP on this is good, except there are some potential issues that Gurman outlines. So Gurman says that the device will be at least $3,000, which is steep.
Yeah.
He says it's going to lack a clear killer app, which is unfortunate. He says it's going to require an external battery that will need to be replaced every couple of hours and use a design that some testers have deemed uncomfortable. That's not great. And it's likely to launch with limited media content. What exactly does that mean? Well, I think quite possibly Apple TV content will be the only content that will work in the most immersive way that Apple will want you to watch content. I imagine this sort of like spatial audio. Remember when only Apple TV shows could use spatial audio?
Yeah. I agree, and I could even see it where, like, let me put it this way. We've talked before and we'll talk again about like what the software on this thing is going to look like. But when you have these services like Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and they all have their own players and their own DRM, I could definitely see something where it's almost like either the software doesn't run or it's some like some compatibility mode that that you can run, iPad software or Mac software on this thing theoretically, and it behaves like that versus like a native app. Like the Apple TV might be native. These other things either won't work
Right.
or they might not be. So I could definitely see that being the case.
Oh, that would be tremendously inconvenient.
It would. It'd be very
Oh
unfortunate.
God, I'm nervous. I'll tell you what makes me the most nervous, Noah. And that is the external battery.
Yeah, I'm confused because they're saying that this is a mixed reality headset, because before we were thinking they were going to do VR first before they do mixed reality. Now it sounds like they're just going straight into mixed reality, and that makes a big difference for the battery.
No, I mean, I think it's been mixed reality all along. I think they're using VR to recreate AR.
I see.
So, in a video that you guys will see this week on Unreal Air, I wanted to sort of make a video with Unreal because I think that implementation, in some ways, that implementation seems like it could have advantages to Apple's, because basically, I think there are a few companies out there, Apple being one of them, that have decided, okay, if this technology is going to be more widespread than just the gaming market, you have to be able to do stuff and exist in the real world. You can't just put it on while you're sitting at your desk playing Beat Saber, okay? The market is there for that, but it's not the broad market that Apple likes to target. So, what are we to do? The challenge is, VR headsets are an established market there. Screens that you wear on your face that track your head movement, and you have controllers. That's great. That's already here. But that's not mass market, right? That is still, I think, a novelty for most people, and it is only realistic for gaming. What the public wants is something that enhances their everyday life. I think the end goal, as we've talked about, is a pair of glasses that just look like normal glasses, but the lenses are screens and they project stuff on the world. That's a long way off. Very long way off. So in the here and now, what we have is a debate. What do you want your AR to be? Apple seems to have gone for VR to recreate the world. And so I suspect what they're going to do here is, rather than having screens that can project things on the world, which would require a translucent display and the ability to project things and occlude things within those displays, which is probably hard. Or you can do what they've done, which is make a headset covered in cameras, pipe that video inside, and as you're going from capturing the video to displaying it, you can then add your augmented, mixed reality things. So it seems like most of the work here has gone into creating a system that can record the world in real time and pipe that into your eyes with added stuff.
Yeah, and then I don't know, I'm just so curious to see how Apple is going to market this. Especially if there's going to be an external battery, and we'll have to see what that looks like. But I feel like that might even preclude any sort of like mobility. Like, can you actually, first of all, already if you have a giant thing strapped to your head and it's covering your eyes, whatever, can you really walk around with it? Maybe you can't. But if there's suddenly a battery,
Right.
I think that like completely throws it out the window. That like, are you going to walk around and have like a wire dangling down with like a big battery in your pocket? Like, I
Yeah.
guess this is going to be a sit down kind of thing. And then what exactly are you going to do with it? That's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's sort of the next step, right? I think Apple has realized that people don't want to be isolated in their headsets. And Apple, I think, is the type of company that is very lifestyle oriented. And I don't think that their lifestyle aligns with virtual reality. So the first step is acknowledging, okay, we're not going to go in here to escape the world. We're going to go in here to enhance it. The second step, to your point, is, can you actually wear this? Is this an everyday device? Because the way that this is being positioned right now, it is not. Um, I think Apple's most successful things are things that were an obvious solution, right? The original iMac, it made the affordable desktop computer interesting, fun, and accessible. The iPod, it made portable music the best it could be: interesting, affordable, accessible, and popular. Then the iPhone, then the iPad, then the Apple Watch. These are all things that weren't necessarily the first in their class, but figured out that missing key to it being a mass market thing. This is not going to be mass market. $3,000 with a big old battery on your waist or externally, a design that some people have said is uncomfortable, not that much media, and a lack of a killer app. This is not going to be, an instant success like the iPhone was. I think, I mean, very similar to what Gurman says here. He says, um, or I guess Mac Rumors is saying that they're striking a realistic tone, that it won't be a hit product right out of the gate. So this might be more like the Apple Watch. I think that's a good example. I'm hopeful that it's more like the Apple Watch. But of course, the Apple Watch was never $3,000.
Yeah, this makes me nervous a little bit. I guess the one thing that I will hope is, first of all, I think it's good, if Apple's striking a realistic tone, because the way I could see this going is that they launch this thing. Maybe it's okay. Like the original Apple Watch was like fine, but it wasn't really that good. And obviously it's
Right.
so much better now, and Apple's worked on improving it. But if they launch this thing and it, $3,000, it has all of these, drawbacks to it, people are going to make fun of it on the internet because people make fun of everything on the internet, whatever. I just hope that Apple doesn't like, not that they're going to abandon it, but like, I guess I'm just glad that they're setting a realistic tone for this, and that they're not, that they're not being unrealistic. And, when it launches, if it launches like this, there's definitely going to be some problems and some, some negative feedback that's going to come up. So,
Right. The one thing I will say is that I think I trust Apple to stick to this and figure it out, which does add some credibility to it. Not CCRP credibility, just in terms of like, how when Google announces products, and I'm sorry, Noah, you might not be able to comment on this, but you know how sometimes Google likes to release products and then just abandon them?
that has happened in the past. Yes.
Because, like, Google Glass, they did a tablet for a little bit, the Chromebook Pixel, and then the Pixel Book, and then the Pixel Book Go. Like, they do have a habit of having these not fully baked but interesting technologies, and then they release them, and it's at this point it's hard to trust. Like, okay, if I buy this, are they just going to abandon it? Because it's not just about like buying the first gen of something. It's you're buying into the start of what is hopefully going to be an ecosystem that you can continue to be a part of. But so with Apple, like, even if you bought like a Series 0 Apple Watch, right, which was obviously not a great device, Apple stuck with it. They kept making it. So it only got better. Even if you ended up having to upgrade very quickly from the Series 0, they stuck with it. Whereas if you buy Google Glass back in 2012, they just kind of were like, yeah, so that's a thing. Anyway, never mind. It's gone now. And,
Yeah.
but I don't think Apple would do that.
I think, yeah, maybe Google definitely does more, like, for better or worse, maybe more experimentation.
Right.
It's interesting to see the things that they come up with, but obviously, a lot of times they get abandoned. And you gave a lot of hardware examples. You could also find a lot of software examples for
Yeah.
things like that. Stadia was one of the recent ones that
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. The thing about Apple, I will say, is that on the other hand, they are arguably more conservative, I guess, and I think also they have a better I'm sure they have a long-term plan with this VR. It's not just that they're like, okay, we're going to launch this first thing and then we're going to figure out what happens after that. Like, they definitely have a plan for this. They're committed to doing this for the long term. And so even if the first release is, doesn't get it right and it has a lot of problems, I am confident, I guess, the fact that it's Apple, that they'll stick with it and they'll make improvements. And maybe the first gen won't be very good, but a couple gens down the line, it'll be pretty compelling.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. And somebody pointed out here, Air Power never released, didn't make it. There are some examples of Apple not sticking with something, but I don't think this would be one of them because it's so big. Tim Cook has been talking about AR for ages. I think they've really been showing that that's the route that they want to take. Air Power is an example of hardware canceling and being abandoned, but that's because it wasn't really in keeping with like a broad strategy. Um, it's an accessory, right? And it didn't work, so they killed it, and then it became unnecessary because MagSafe came along. This, I think, is a much larger scale. I know Air Power, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing that, and it failed, which is really quite strange. It's kind of crazy that whole thing happened. But this, I mean, if they spent hundreds of millions on air power, can you imagine how much they've spent on this? There's no way that they're just going to say, "Oh man, it didn't sell immediately. We're going to quit." No.
And I think the other thing to keep in mind is that AirPower never came out. Like, it was officially
Right.
announced, but it's not like Apple released it and then, never updated it or abandoned it. You could, if you want, like, an example of that, maybe you could argue the HomePods. And I know they've
Yeah.
been updated over the years and whatever, but like, they've never really gotten the love that they need. But like, these headsets, like, the odds that Apple does not release a headset in the next, like, or announce a headset in the next year or two is very small, given everything that we've heard, given the direction the company's been going in. So the chances are that they're going to actually launch a headset. And then once they launch it, it's a product that they've launched. It's a major product category, like what you said, a much bigger scale. And so I do think that they're going to stick with it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. This is not a HomePod or an AirPower in terms of scope. This is probably an iPhone in terms of scope. I mean, it's something that has been in development for years. I think Gurman mentioned that executives have been given insight into how the project is going since 2018. So we are probably the better part of 10 years into development for this. And I think that they are past the point of no return. This is no longer an experimental thing. However, CCRP, if we go back to CCRP for just a second here, there is a little bit of holes in the corroboration and the proximity aspects of our CCRP analysis here, in the form of Ming-Chi Kuo, who is saying that apparently Apple has pushed back mass production of the headset, and the device may not appear at WWDC. So, for some context, maybe we can pull up this tweet here. So Apple apparently isn't very optimistic about the mixed reality headset. They don't think that it's going to recreate the astounding iPhone moment, and the mass production schedule for assembly has been pushed back by another 1 to 2 months to mid to late Q3 23, which adds uncertainty to whether the device will appear at WWDC. They are forecasting 200 to 300,000 units, which is lower than the market consensus. So all of this is the type of thing that we see around this time, which it's interesting because I don't necessarily think that this indicates that it for sure won't happen at WWDC. Because as we've talked about in the past, Apple is almost certainly not going to be actually putting this on sale yet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely, like, I could see them, I don't know. They could definitely announce it, right? And they don't even have to give a date. They could say it's coming later in 2023. They could say coming. They don't even have to say that. They could just say it's coming soon or coming. Well, I guess they got to say something, but like,
Right.
they don't have to commit to a hard date. So it could be, even if they're pushing back the production, they could announce it. On the other hand, maybe they want to announce it like shortly before it's available. I don't know. It makes more sense for them to announce it ahead of time, but like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll announce it shortly before because they want to have like the momentum of like they're announcing it and then it comes out and then people are using it. I don't know. So theoretically, it's possible, that it could still be announced at Dub Dub, or maybe they'll push it back? It's really hard to say.
Yeah, personally, I'm of the mind where when you analyze this from a CCRP perspective, which you should, quite frankly,
Of
uh,
course.
what we're seeing here is so basically we want to try to reverse engineer what Ming Chi Kuo is saying to try to figure out like, okay, this is his statement based on what information. So this up here saying because Apple isn't very optimistic about the headset recreating the astounding iPhone moment, this correlates or corroborates, if you will, with
Hmm.
what Gurman was saying about hesitation. Okay, so we're now seeing that in multiple different parties, right? We've got multiple leakers saying people inside Apple aren't sold that this is going to be, incredible out of the gate. That's a common thread. What is different here is saying that the mass production schedule for assembly has been pushed back to mid to late Q3 2023. Now, that Ming Chi Kuo is interpreting as uncertainty to whether the new device will appear at WWDC, as the market widely expects. But my understanding of this is that Ming Chi Kuo is working with information saying that mass production is being put back, and he's interpreting that as pushing the device from WWDC. Personally, I think that isn't necessarily the case because given the framework of previous WWDCs where they announce it in June but don't ship it until December, doing a fall production ramp wouldn't actually be very unusual, especially given that the forecast for this year then slips as well. So if you're talking about 300,000 units, obviously the iPhone sells like 50 million units in opening weekend. So when you're talking about iPhone 50 million units, they start producing iPhones in July or August. So that's like a month, 2 months, usually tops, before they're shipping. And they start making 50 million. So if we're talking about a similar time frame, maybe September for starting the production, you need 200,000 units by December. That is not unreasonable.
Yeah, I definitely think, if Ming Chi Kuo's saying mid to late Q3, right? That's July, August, September is Q3, right? Mid to late Q3. Apple doesn't do anything. I mean, there's a September event, which is the iPhone and the Apple Watch or whatever. But between that event in September and Dub, Apple doesn't really do anything, right?
Mm.
So unless Apple wants to hold a special event, which theoretically they could do for such a special, new product launch, it still makes sense for them to talk about it at Dub in June. And then they just say, it's launching in a couple months, or they can say coming later this year. They don't have to say when. But if Ming Chi Kuo is saying a month or two of delay, I don't necessarily see that as a reason that it wouldn't show up at Dub. It's a month or two. It's not that long.
Mm. No, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it is weird to hear some conflict in the CCRP, right? Gurman and Kuo are both fairly reputable, and they have a large volume of leaks. And so to have them sort of at odds is curious. But what I also think is worth addressing here is there's a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt. People are saying it's not going to be until 2027. People are saying the rumor mongers are going to say that it's canceled or put on hold. Meanwhile, Apple has never even acknowledged it exists at all. This doesn't. I think a lot of people think. I think someone even up here said, like, I don't think it's coming. Somebody said that it doesn't even exist at some point. And I was like, okay, well, that's silly. CCRP is very important here because I think you can end up with a lot of misconceptions about rumors and leaks if you just see, like, okay, yes, people have been talking about the VR headset for a long time, at least 5 years. But if you analyze them with CCRP, you can start to figure out that there's a pattern and there's logic and there's a time frame behind these rumors. Like, I know that there are people out there that literally think that these Mark Gurmans, Ming Chi Kuo's, John Prossers, all of these leakers from the top to the bottom are just making shit up. A lot of people do think that. But what CCRP was designed to do is give you a window into the leaker's logic and apply that to Apple, because to just dismiss everything and say it's all nonsense, they don't know what they're talking about, is not true. I have firsthand knowledge of A, leaking information, and B, talking with a bunch of these people. And I know for a fact that they're not just making up random nonsense for fun. That's not what's happening. Even when rumors are wrong, that doesn't mean that they were fake. We talked about this before. So the whole reason that we sort of developed CCRP is to try to disillusion people of the whole like mentality that has come about in the past like 3 years, really, where people just see everything and anything and they just think that is fake. They made it up. There are certainly people that do that, but the credibility aspect, the big leakers, even some of the smaller Twitter leakers, if you look at their history, you can find out whether they are just making things up for fun or whether they're legitimate. And the CCRP on the headset is very strong because even if you go back a couple of years, you saw things like release date slipping into 2022, or they're now targeting 2023. We've seen 2023 as a year for a release. That in itself has been leaked for the past 4 years.
Yeah, I think, much to your point, CCRP is a powerful tool for determining if a leak is fake, but in the same way, it's powerful in determining if a leak might be real. So it's useful in both of those ways. And I think, we've looked at these different leaks. We've looked at like Mark Gurman, Ming Chi Kuo, and they might disagree on some things, or their leaks might be different. But a lot of the overall ideas, like if you distill it into more abstract ideas, they tend to agree, and it's more the interpretation is where they differ. And the interpretation is the part where you're putting your own spin on it. It's where you go one step away from the solid facts. And the facts that they have are incomplete. We don't know exactly who's giving it to them and what position they're in, but obviously that person or those people don't know everything. So they're taking limited information, they're making inferences one step removed, and that's really more where the differences lie.
Absolutely. And I think that's, I mean, the example that I always give is a leak wrong or is it incomplete, lacking context? And my example for that is with the new generation of MacBook Pros, I had a couple of leaks. And well, 3 of them actually illustrate exactly what we're talking about. The first leak that I had was correct, and that was a UHS 2 SD card slot. So that leak was accurate. The next leak that I leaked was, hey, these MacBooks are going to have a max of 32 gigabytes of RAM. That was not technically inaccurate, but was without context. And that's, I think, something that happens more than I think people tend to look at rumors as like, oh, Mark Gurman was right, or oh, Mark Gurman was wrong. But when you look at the nugget of information, what it ended up being was, while I was wrong that the new MacBook Pros can have more than 32 gigabytes of RAM, what I didn't know at the time is the information that I was given pertained only to the M1 Pro, which does max out at 32 gigabytes of RAM. So that isn't necessarily an incorrect leak or false information. It's just an interpretation of the information. Like if I had said the same piece of information, but I had said the M1 Pro will be limited to 32 gigabytes of RAM, that would have been accurate. So that it's a phrasing issue, it's an interpretation issue. Now the third leak is another example of this, the backlit Touch ID button. That is incorrect because Apple changed it. I am 100% confident in the information that I used as and was given as the basis for those leaks. It's the same set of information. But do you see what I mean about this interpretation thing? Because the same set of information yielded a correct leak, an impartial leak, and a false leak in one single in the same piece of information. And
Right.
that's what CCRP is designed to get at.
Yeah, and it definitely, even like the backlit Touch ID button, which turned out to be incorrect, that doesn't mean that it was made up or that it was never true. Especially, obviously it gives credibility if one of the leaks was correct and one of them was partially correct and it was the same person. Maybe they made up the third thing for fun, but like more realistically, they didn't, and it was something that Apple had planned or had considered or had tested, and it didn't work out. But that doesn't mean that it was made up just because it wasn't true.
Exactly. So sorry, I don't mean to get to college professory here, but I think that this is something that I've noticed, and the I think disdain towards leaks has increased in the past 2 to 3 years. But honestly, as someone who has followed this stuff for a long time, I think the negative reactions have increased, but the actual leaks themselves are about the same. Like, I don't think there's a great, prevalence of false information out there at all. In fact, I think if you're following the more credible stuff that gets posted by Mark Gurman, Ming-Chi Kuo, Ross Young, most of the stuff that makes it to the tech blogs does have at least some degree of credibility. I mean, I've made it to those tech blogs, and I had to prove that I wasn't just making stuff up. Like I didn't just say like, here's my thing, and they were like, all right, whatever, put it on the internet. They were like, we want to know like that you stand by this. So leaks can be true, they can be false, they can be somewhere in the middle. But the people, unless you're talking about some random, like Twitter leaks 123 at apple.com, with 400 followers, who's like, I just heard that the iPhone 17 is coming out this year. Like, okay, yeah, obviously use your common sense. But there is a gut reaction for people to just immediately say, that's all wrong. Everything's wrong. They're lying. They're making it up, when that's not the case.
Yeah, I think more than any, like, these days people have, I guess, how do I put this? I was going to say that people have gotten better at determining what's fake on the internet. I don't think that's fully true, but I think that the kinds
Yeah.
of people who watch this podcast, at least, the kinds of people that are actually hearing this and who are plugged into the world and who keep up with it, I feel like those people are better at determining, if Apple leaks are completely fake or not. So I think, back in the past, maybe it was the Wild West and, people would publish whatever and make like fake, mock-ups, fake renders and try to pass them off as real. I feel like these days, people have a better understanding. And then, like you said, with the kind of news that actually gets published, that they want to make sure that you actually have a source and that you stand by what you're saying and that you're not just making stuff up. So, all of that means that maybe people can let their guards down a little bit, or maybe not let your guard down, but be a little more willing to consider a leak. And, if you just want to look at all leaks and say, that might be true, it might not be, I'm not going to make any decisions based off of it, then that's fine. But, you don't need to necessarily fully discount, any leak that you see these days.
To your point about the Wild West of the old days, I want to show you something that might spark some nostalgia as we wrap up this show. I'm very excited for WWDC and the headset specifically. Obviously, we've got plenty of time to dive into that. But back when things were the wild, wild west and leaks were either... I feel like if you go back to the early days of the iPhone, the leaks were either completely made up off the top of people's heads and just had no basis, or they were like, hey, there's the device in a cafe. That's it. That's the iPhone 4.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was no real in between. And so this is a collection of some of the goofy, wacky concepts that I personally remember. I don't know if you guys will, from the early days. I think that this concept, I guess this is from July 2011. So this would have been before the iPhone 4S came out, which I guess explains why this one says iPhone 5 on the front bezel. Ugh. Ugh. So yeah, I like that these are the most innovative Apple iPhone concepts designed by talented artists. There's of course this famous one,
the transparent iPhone.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I remember thinking that at the time, that this was just goofy. I mean, first of all, ridiculous. How would this even ever exist? And it would be a usability nightmare. There's no point for this at all.
Wait, are you telling me that you don't want to see your hand, the inside of your hand, while you're playing with your iPhone?
Not to mention, where the hell is the battery?
Don't worry about that.
Like, why did this get press? This makes no sense. There's no... How... People were like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I think this really shows how much more informed people are about the actual reality of the world that they live in than they were in 2011 when they were like, oh, Steve Jobs could make the iPhone clear. Sure. Dumb.
I honestly wonder if people really believed these concepts or not, but I will say I feel like these days, if you came out with a concept like one of these, the projector iPhone, come on. Like, if you came out with a concept like that, people would just think it's like funny or dumb. Whereas I feel like when this article was written, people would look at this and be like, wow, that's so cool. I wonder if that'll ever happen. Like, there is definitely a tone shift over the years.
This is the worst one ever.
That's the secret bracelet.
By the way, we're not even halfway. It's the secret bracelet. Yeah, absolutely. So, dude, okay. This one was called the iPhone Next Generation Concept. And what it very clearly is a, like, what looks like a GTA 3 screenshot of the worst resolution hand ever, with a screenshot of an iPhone display, which, by the way, anything at the top of the screen is unusable, completely cut off by the gaps in your fingers, being projected from a wristband that has inexplicably a speaker hole, like an earphone hole, and an Apple logo on one side, with a toggle for projection on and off. This is so ugly.
Can I also point out that it has the installer app on it, so it's jailbroken?
Oh, you're right. It does. This one is also pretty ugly. This one's not like insane or technologically impossible, so I will give it credit for that. The
It's
iPhone
kind of
Nano.
ugly. Oh, but the
Okay, the
slide to
iPhone.
unlock. The slide to unlock.
Yeah, I miss it.
That's a classic.
Here's
iPhone
a
Nano.
smaller.
We kind of got that. Not that small, but we kind of got that.
Yeah, well, the iPhone Mini wasn't
Yeah.
smaller than it was bigger than the iPhone 4.
Yeah, well, this is the closest one. This is closer than the projector.
All right, here's another concept. This one at least, I mean, I don't like it, but it at least is, within the realm of being actually possible. And it's not clear or a projector. Here's the elegant iPhone concept. That just
That
looks
looks like a 3GS.
Yeah, that's just a 3GS, a low poly 3GS with, I guess this whole bottom is one big button.
Oh, geez. The one above that looked
Which,
like an Android phone. This just looks like
yeah,
that looks like an Android or like a BlackBerry or something. This one just looks like a 3GS.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Here's one where it's just actually, you know what? That's an iPhone 10.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh no, what is this? Oh, a holographic projector. Come on. Oh, is this a video? Oh, thank God.
Oh boy.
Oh no. I mean,
Oh
you know what?
no.
The CG is not bad. I mean, I don't know why you would want to just like see a little hologram of a boat and nothing else.
Turn boat. No, stop. Stop turning.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well,
That's great.
that's
Love that.
something. Oh no. A unibody, because the unibody was new at the time. So God, this looks like they literally took the
Look at the
MacBook
home
Air.
button. Look
Why
at
is
the
the
home
home button
button.
so wide?
And so recessed.
Oh, and the side
Oh,
picture is just a MacBook Air. It's top heavy, first of all, so it would just
it's
fall out of
so
your hand.
ugly. It's so ugly.
I also love like the state of rumors is they put a watermark that said, "This is my next rumor."
Yeah.
That's where we were in 2011.
Someone really wanted to put a watermark on that picture. They wanted to take credit for that.
Yeah, they.
Dude,
Here's
look at the
another
camera on this. The rear-facing
The camera looks like an Android phone. It looks like a
Yes.
Samsung S4 on the back.
Yeah. Oh
A
no.
thin this is just a very thin iPhone. Cool. So yeah, that's what rumors were like. We've come a long way. I think we'd agree.
I think so.
Those were the
Jeez.
good old days. People, because the worst part was people would make that and then it'd get reported on. They'd be like, innovative iPhone rumor imagines transparent handheld device. Forbes. And I'm like, okay, this is nonsense.
Yeah, and like I don't know if anyone ever necessarily believed that those were going to happen, but like definitely those did get reported on in a way that they would never get reported on today. Like the mock-ups and the things that get reported on today are actually based off on like solid leaks and like
Yeah.
at least like legitimate like obviously there's artistic, interpretation of the facts, but like there is nothing to interpret in any of those pictures that we just looked at. Those were just made up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just like a random guy being like, you know what? Clear iPhone. Screw it.
Oh, that's cool. I wish I could do that. I wish I could make a clear iPhone like that. I'm not that
Me
good.
too. Absolutely. I don't have the capability, nor does Apple, apparently, but don't worry about that.
It's unfortunate.
You know what is also unfortunate, Noah?
What's that?
It's unfortunate that this episode of Dark Mode has to come to an end.
Oh man.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I wish that we could just make this into a 24/7, CNN style live broadcast.
I feel
But
like we
sadly,
could. I feel like we could make up enough stuff to talk about to keep it going 24/7.
I mean, we'd be really we just have to start talking about all sorts of random nonsense. It wouldn't even be news or Apple related at that point.
Yeah, but we could theoretically make it happen. I don't think anyone wants that, least of all us.
Yeah, I think we are universally agreed in not wanting that. And
Someone
as a
even
result,
said they said
yeah.
time's up in the chat. As soon as it was 1 hour, time's up. That's all they want. 1 hour, and
Wow, they're like,
that's
get
too much.
off of my screen.
Yeah. I think we're done
Well,
here.
yeah, we'll oblige. We'll oblige. Thank you all for watching. I've been Chief Inspector of the CCRPD, Luke Miani.
And I've been Constable Noah Rubin. We'll see you next week for more CCRP content. Have a great night.